It's time to get patriotic. Let's review VFW. Long overdue. Let's go. VFW stars Stephen Lang, Martin Kove, David Patrick Kelly, William Sadler, and is directed by Joe Begos.
Let's go.
What's up, guys? We're going to have some fun. We're going to review a movie from a few years ago called VFW. This is a movie that has been requested for me to review. And I'm going to give a couple shout outs. Gavin Glass and Sean Chandler. Sean Chandler messaged me. I think it was like shortly after this movie came out. And he was like, dude, you should check this movie out. Gavin Glass, I think, has reminded me a few times over the years. Recently on Killer Flicks. Just, an annual reminder for me to review this movie. I'm paraphrasing. And by the way, just a t-shirt observation. I'm normally with some kind of logo, like horror movie or band or whatever on my t-shirt. This looks like nothing is on the front. And the reason I'm mentioning this is because this is a Sleep Token t-shirt, which is one of my current favorite bands. And it just so happens that the logo is on the back of the shirt. I didn't realize this until I got the shirt in, which is kind of useless. Unless you're walking around and somebody sees it on the back, but then they got to look at it from the back, come around to you and say, hey man, dig the shirt. Makes no sense really whatsoever. I just thought it was funny. I thought I'd share it because I'm sure some people are going to wow, you don't have like some kind of logo on your shirt for once. But yeah, looking forward to diving into VFW. Let me start you off with a plot synopsis and then we'll talk about patriotic movies and whatnot. I have a peculiar stance on them. And by the way, I was in the military for 24 years, active duty, Air Force. So I've seen a lot of military movies. I don't review too many of them on my channel, but we'll get into that. But first off, let's give you a quick plot synopsis. Joe Begos directed one of my favorite current movies, or from a couple of years ago, Christmas Bloody Christmas. That is such a fun movie in the vein of like Terminator, feels very old school and just really fun. But he directed this movie, and you can tell just by the aesthetic of it. But the plot of the movie is this group of military veterans, and there's this establishment called VFW, which stands for Veterans of Foreign Wars. And they all served at different times around, I guess, within, a 10-year time frame, but they didn't all serve together at once. And VFW, it's kind of like the USO. USO is like an establishment for military members, like if, say, when you're deploying and you stop off at one of their hubs in, say, Baltimore. I think they have a hub in Baltimore and a few other airports. And you get like free food, free entertainment, free Wi-Fi, all that stuff. So it's a cool little bonus for military people. But they, are just on a, let's say a normal Friday, Saturday night. They're chilling at their VFW, the bar. Stephen Lang plays Fred. He is the owner of the bar. And there are these drug dealers that sell this stuff called hype. And it's highly, highly addictive. And people that take hype, they call them hypers. And they're almost zombie-like. And this movie does have like a zombie-type feel to it. These hypers, once they're hooked on this drug, they become primal and addictive. And so the reason they are going against the guys in the VFW is because of, I guess, a drug exchange. This character by the name of Liz Lizard, her sister's killed by the lead baddie, Boz. At the beginning of the movie, and so she wants revenge. She steals some of the drugs, takes it to the VFW. Now we have a problem. Boz and his clan, they want to get the drugs back, and nobody's getting out alive. That's kind of their mindset. This movie's very violent, very bloody, and quite a surprise. I didn't know Joe Begos directed this. If I did, I probably would have watched it sooner. I do get skeptical with patriotic movies. And the reason I say that is because I've seen quite a few of them that feel kind of forced, kind of fake. I think some patriotic movies, they don't get down to the core of who people that serve in the military are. A lot of them do, like Saving Private Ryan, like Platoon. Those are two of my all-time favorites. But some of them do feel sort of cheesy. And, being in the military for 24 years and being around military brothers, I've seen so many of them, and a lot of ones that I don't consider to be that great. Okay, so I think at face value, when people meet me and if they know that I was in the military, or just people online that talk to me, they automatically assume that, oh, he must love military movies. And I'm more of a horror fanatic than anything. I don't gravitate towards military movies as much as you would think. But there are some really great ones out there for sure. Lone Survivor is another really good one, by the way. Jarhead. Don't get me wrong, I appreciate great filmmaking at the end of the day, and it just so happens that there are a lot of great filmmakers that have made war movies. And when they're great, they're really great. VFW does have a sense of military pride, and you have these moments where you have characters like Fred talking about his experience in, like, say, Vietnam. And he's not really that forthcoming. He kind of alludes to the mud of it all. If you're in the Middle East, the sand. So he doesn't really go too deep as far as what his experience was like, and I kind of dug that about this movie. But Fred served in Vietnam, and I'll tell you right now, anytime I meet anybody that served in Vietnam, I stop, I shake their hand, and I thank them for their service because of what they have been through. They've been through far more than I've been through in the military. You can't even understand what those guys went through over there in the bush. And every single Vietnam vet I've ever met is so humble and just the coolest people you could possibly imagine. But what makes this movie so great is it combines that aspect, these military veterans, in I guess, more of a horror action type of environment. And you can definitely see the inspiration of, like, John Carpenter here in terms of the score, in terms of the story. This feels like Assault on Precinct 13. It definitely has that vibe, maybe a little bit of Escape from New York. But man, I loved how this felt like an homage to Carpenter, because I think when Carpenter deals with action, mixing it with horror, like, I don't think Carpenter back in his heyday could get away from having a horror aesthetic, even if he wanted to. There's just an overall mood to his movies that kind of overlaps any subgenre that he's tackling. And this movie definitely has that Carpenter vibe to it, and that's a great thing. It's also bloody as hell. Does not hold back at all. You're going to see, like, decapitations. You're going to see impalements. You're going to see blood all over the freaking frame at times. But also you're going to see great filmmaking. Joe Begos talked about how behind the scenes, this movie was challenging to do because as a director, when you're dealing with more than 3 actors in a single scene or frame, it can be really challenging to at least make that interesting. And I think that's why he took the approach of constantly moving the camera. Because if you kept it stationary with more than 3 people in the frame, then it's not that interesting. So he's constantly moving from character to character, from action, whatever you got to do to keep the audience invested and overall make this thing feel real. Also, he's dealing with heavy veterans here. You got freaking Stephen Lang, William Sadler, the great David Patrick Kelly, one of the most underrated actors out there, with The Warriors, The Crow. One of my favorite lines from Commando.
I got something I'd really like to give you.
I'm not interested.
Oh, you don't know what you're missing.
From here, it looks like a nightmare. Would you please leave me alone?
You fucking whore.
He was absolute gold in Commando. Just the way he presented himself as like the ultimate dick. Some of the lines he said in that movie, too, I don't think you could get away with today. So he is a national treasure. And also veteran actor Fred Williamson. You gotta mention him, another legend. And Martin Cove. I like that this didn't go for the top tier action stars. We did that in Expendables. This goes for more of the lower tier B level, but that doesn't take anything away from their talent, their charisma. Hell, I kind of prefer when they go, a little beneath the surface in terms of your action heavyweights. But putting the story first and making them all like military veterans somehow works to the film's benefit. And given their age, it really makes it believable as far as being able to handle themselves. It's not all about, using your fists. It's more about using your mind. And that's where Stephen Lang comes in. You can tell that he has a leadership background, his character. And, you know, there's times in this movie where he makes everybody stop. Let's think about what we're doing. Let's think about where all the exits are, who's attacking us. You know, he takes all that into consideration, and he even considers like the strengths and weaknesses of everyone around. You got Doug, David Patrick Kelly's character, getting attacked in the beginning of the movie, and he's out of commission. So they also have to care for him medically while the shit is hitting the fan, which adds another element of chaos and danger to the movie. Now, I mentioned Liz earlier, but you also have this young soldier, Sean, who's just coming back from deployment. There's a nice character moment in there when he first shows up, and Fred and, you know, all his war buddies, they invite Sean into the fold. Once you're part of the family, then this place is a home for you. And that's what's beautiful about this movie is, you know, just accepting soldiers that have been through hell, and they might not be fully there mentally because of all the stuff that they have encountered. And this is just a place to unwind and relax. But Sean, he gets thrown into the middle of all this mess. And so I like that the movie doesn't discredit the younger generation. They all step up to the plate and even put the older guys in check at times if they're getting out of hand or acting stupid. I hate to say it, but just because you are older does not make you smarter or wiser all the time. You know, sometimes it does, but I think this movie addresses that. I think we all have our strengths and weaknesses despite our age. So it's just a well-rounded script, you know, overall. Great characters, a lot of great action. I think it's paced very well. It's just a really fun movie. And it is highly, highly rewatchable. You know, it feels like those claustrophobic, one environment type films, very low budget in the best way, utilizing every aspect that you can to make your movie as entertaining as possible. It does all those things. So I think it's a lesson to young filmmakers that don't have quite the budget to make the movie that they want. Use your resources. This movie originally was going for a bigger budget, and they had some set pieces that were pretty extravagant and exciting. But that doesn't necessarily mean the movie would have been better if they had that budget. You know, sometimes I think a movie benefits from a smaller budget. I think it adds to the surprise factor, you know, having to be more creative, and that's just a big bonus. So yeah, this movie was a blast. Big thank you to Gavin Glass and Sean Chandler for recommending this movie. Giving this a high purchase worthy. Definitely check it out if you haven't seen VFW. Looking forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments. Also, be sure to come over to Killer Flicks, where we talk horror all day and every day. And on Fridays, we do Free For All Fridays. Follow me, Drumdums, on all my socials. Support me on Patreon. Buy me a coffee. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a good day. Drumdum out.